Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and this is the Samsung Galaxy S25 Edge. I've been using it regularly every single day for a couple weeks at this point and wanted to share the good and the bad. There's some really great things about it, some negative things about it, and the first thing is the design. The overall design, I actually really like this phone quite a bit. In fact, when I have the choice to pick up an iPhone or this or something else, I usually reach for this phone as I just love the way it feels. It's hard to explain until you pick it up, but the overall design just being thin, there's more to it than that that's hard to explain until you get your hands on it. I've seen a few other people say the same thing, and until you get your hands on it, it's just hard to explain. There's only been one other phone, a Motorola, in the past that I can think of that might be about the same thickness or thinness, and the overall feel of this, they've just done a great job. We have titanium, which makes it super rigid. I'm never worried about bending it or anything like that, despite its thinness. And of course, we have our typical buttons on the side. Our power, sleep, wake, our volume button. And then on the bottom, I really appreciate that they've still included the physical SIM card tray despite its thinness. We have some microphones as well as speakers, along with USB-C. We have an antenna on the side here for millimeter wave and another set of microphones on the top. So it's basically your typical phone, just a lot thinner. Of course, we have this floating camera on the back, and I actually like the look of this. I know not everybody does, but it's something that's just grown on me. But it is a little bit of a downside when you place it down and it just sort of rocks on the table. So that's one of the downsides, and I don't want to put a case on this as it just feels so great to hold on to. To compare the overall thickness, here's an S25 Ultra side by side. I showed this in the unboxing video, but just to recap here, you can see how much thinner it is. Without the camera bump, it's almost about two of these phones thick. When it comes to maybe something else you may be familiar with, this is an M4 iPad Pro, the thinnest device Apple has made, and you can see that side by side. So again, super thin overall, not as thin as the iPad, but very close, but definitely the thinnest phone I've used. Of course, on the front, we have this nice display. However, it lacks that anti-reflective coating that the S25 Ultra has. That's probably one downside to the display, but it really didn't bother me too much, but we'll talk more about that in a moment. As far as durability, well, many people were concerned that it's so thin that it might bend, but again, I've had no concerns with that. Titanium is super rigid, very hard to bend, and when I was a child, I actually had a titanium rod that my dad brought home as he's an engineer, and I had a steel rod next to it and tried to bend it. I could flex the steel rod and couldn't flex the thinner titanium rod, so it's super rigid, very hard to bend, and I'm really not concerned about that at all. I do have a light scratch on the display just from using it without a screen protector. You can see it picks up some fingerprints, but there's no real evidence of a scratch here. I see it only in the brightest of sunlight from time to time, and if I wipe this off, I don't see it at all. And it's really hard to show you because I just don't see any issues here. No real obvious scratches, but I just noticed it when I was in super bright sunlight. I did accidentally drop this on concrete, and it held up really well. It was a complete mistake. I was taking some photos for this video and some video as well, and I dropped it on the camera. And you'll see it held up well, dropping on the concrete from a park bench, and that gives you an idea of how well it can hold up. Now, with a case, of course, it would be a little bit better, but it protected the overall lens and seems to be pretty durable. So no problems, no shattering of glass anywhere. It works fine, and everything functions as you would expect. Now, before we continue and talk about the other good and bad things as well, today's sponsor, Vaim, with their RecDock earbuds, have a unique feature I haven't seen before. They allow for audio recording from phone calls, recordings of conversations when meeting face-to-face, or whenever you're maybe listening to something online, you can record and then reference the audio later. They also can tell the difference between who's speaking and then transcribe the conversation to reference later. And the Vaim RecDock earbuds also have real-time translation in up to 16 languages. You can then share your audio recordings. So if we go into the app itself down here, you'll see we have live recordings on the earbuds themselves, and then we can download them directly from the earbuds onto the device. So we can start the download, and it maintains that connection and downloads your overall recorded conversations. Now, not only can you use the earbuds to record audio, but they also allow for noise cancellation to help quiet your room or a plane ride and have up to 48 decibels of noise cancellation. They feature high-res wireless audio with 11mm dynamic speakers, and you also have a built-in equalizer to adjust the sound however you'd like, with 18 different pre-made sound profiles. The AIM Rec Dot earbuds last for up to 9 hours on their own and 36 hours with the charging case. 5 minutes will charge it up for 1 hour of listening time. They'll also connect to multiple devices at once to make switching between devices simple. Be sure to check them out with the link in the description below. Now, when it comes to the camera overall, this is another good thing as well. It's pretty nice. We have the 200 megapixel sensor directly from the S25 Ultra. There's no compromises there according to Samsung, so no differences. We're just lacking the telephoto zoom lenses. So we have a 12 megapixel ultra wide, but our 200 megapixel camera. The overall camera quality was nice and crisp. You could zoom in, of course, like you would expect, directly with the digital zoom. And because we've got 200 megapixels to work with, the overall quality is quite good. When it comes to video, we can go up to 8K, and you can see some footage I recorded at the local Charlotte airport. There was a plane coming in. I wanted to zoom in and see how smooth it was, and you can see what that looks like here as it lands. So this gives you an idea of what it's capable of, but basically I don't really find a compromise there with the 200 megapixel camera. The main issue is if you want a telephoto zoom lens, it's just lacking that, but you can zoom within the camera itself and within a photo. So if we bring in the little Android here, of course, we can just zoom right in, and we've got up to 5 times zoom just like that. It depends on the megapixel count that you're in. So if we go into 12 megapixels, we can zoom into 10 times. So it's using digital along with that 200 megapixels to give you that a little extra zoom range. But in general, I think it works pretty well, and I don't ever use telephoto zoom, so I thought it was fine. When it comes to the speed, I have no complaints whatsoever. It's the same Snapdragon processor we get in the S25 Ultra. Now, some people have suggested it's a little bit different, but basically it's the Snapdragon 8 Elite. No issues there, 12 gigs of RAM, and everything is just super fluid and fast. More so than the iPhone I typically use, and more so than just about anything else I use. If you're going into maybe your settings, you'll never really notice a slowdown whatsoever. And as far as the overall battery life on this, as many people are curious about that, well, we do have a 3900 milliamp hour battery. And for most people, that may not sound like a lot. However, compared to some iPhones, it's definitely a little bit more. And if we go into the battery here, you'll see battery overall. Now, this is from today. It's been in standby a lot, and you'll see it stopped charging 1 day and 12 hours ago. I purposely left it on standby. I'm down to 51%, and you can see the overall usage here. It just today was only 32 minutes. However, on average, I tried it with both QHD and FHD screen resolutions, and with FHD, which is the default here. So if we go back into our display here, scroll down, if you leave it in the default mode of 2340 by 1080, I was getting about 6 hours of screen on time. That's actually better than I'm currently getting with my iPhone. When I put it in Quad HD, I got about 5 hours. So it took about an hour off of the overall screen time. I really don't notice much of a difference with Full HD. However, I do leave it on 120 Hertz. So that's something with the motion smoothness. I leave it on adaptive, and it's just super smooth overall. However, with my normal usage, I never felt the need to hurry and plug it in or anything like that, but it does charge pretty rapidly, and I've really had no issues with that whatsoever. So if you need to plug it in, of course, it just charges pretty quickly. No real issues there. And if we lock it, you'll see here it says 48 minutes until full, and we're at 51%. So usually about an hour and a half or so. Now, as far as the overall display, it's crisp and clear, even in Full HD as it is now. I tried it in Quad HD. I didn't personally really notice much of a difference that it was worth sort of bringing the battery life down, so I switched back to Full HD after a day of use. However, the only complaint I had about the display is in the sunlight when it got extra hot. I was out filming at the airport, like I mentioned. It sort of brought the display brightness down because it was just too bright and getting a little bit warm. So not only do we have a reflective display, which is lacking the coating of the S25 Ultra, it's definitely as good as some other phones, but it's not as good as the S25 Ultra here. We're also having some issues because of maybe the overall thinness of the device in very bright sunlight. It was about 80 degrees Fahrenheit ambient temperature at the time, and it just pulled the overall brightness down. Even when I turned it all the way up, it wouldn't go up anymore. So it definitely gets a little bit warm. It is sort of pushing the heat out of the back here. And you'll see here, it's not very grippy from time to time. As I mentioned, I dropped it before. I've found that to be the case a couple times, and it's just due to the thinness of it. It sometimes slips out of my hands, but I only was able to drop it once, thankfully. I also had a couple software glitches while using this. That's something I'm pretty familiar with on iOS these days, and the software glitches on this more had to do with Android Auto. When I was using Maps, I was using Google Maps, and what I found is that it sometimes just kept resetting with Android Auto. Android Auto would stay up, but Maps itself would restart. I actually had to disconnect this from the device, so I turned off Wi-Fi when I was connected to my car, turned it back on, then it fixed the problem. I'm not sure what it was, but that happened to me multiple times with multiple connections. Thankfully, it hasn't happened again, though. Of course, update availability is some people's concern with Android phones in general, and in particular, the latest One UI 7. So if we go in here, check for an update, you'll see I'm up to date with the current version from April. We're still waiting for the May patch, and that's just something that sometimes is a little bit delayed depending on the device you're using. Now, One UI is still not my favorite, but I really like the overall Material Design 3 Expressive on the Pixel. Some people really prefer the overall One UI. I've customized it here with round icons sort of to match the Pixel, but it has the same aesthetics as we get with One UI also. The menus are very nice if you've used those, so it's very clear and concise what everything is, going into display, battery, theming, and more. So I've really had no real issues. Search works well, and everything else. The only other deterrent here could be the price. $1,099 for what seems like a little bit lacking phone is something that may push people in another direction, along with the battery life. I think the battery life is fine for me, but if you're a heavy user every single day and you're not on Wi-Fi or don't have a charger nearby, you'll want to stick with the S25 Ultra. The battery life is somewhere between the S25 regular version and the S24 regular version. So depending on how you use that, if you're an iPhone user, you'll find it's probably about the same depending on the device you're using. For me, it gets me through the day no problem, but that's not going to be the case with everyone. Now, the good thing is Google I/O showed a lot of partnering with Samsung, and I thought that was great. Whether that's using Gemini with AI, that's something this excels in. I used it a lot for sharing the screen, looking through the camera, recognizing objects. All of those things are really great, and all of the Samsung phones have it that are recent. But if you're wondering who is this for, well, it's someone that doesn't need the best battery, but wants something that feels fresh, different, and maybe a little futuristic. It doesn't feel like it should be this thin, and it's just something that I think you'll appreciate once you get your hands on it. Of course, it doesn't need to exist necessarily, but it does feel very premium because it's a little bit different. Now, one other thing I wanted to compare it with is the iPhone 17 Air or possibly iPhone 26 dummy model. Apple is maybe changing their overall naming scheme, and side by side, it's basically the same exact thickness, but a little bit more rounded, at least if this is accurate. So this gives you an idea side by side. So compared with what we might get from Apple later this year, it's going to be about the same, but Apple is rumored to have a very small battery in it, almost 1,000 milliamp hours smaller. So that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, as the overall size is about the same. They definitely could squeeze in a bigger battery, and they've got one less camera, so they should have some more room in there. But either way, we'll have to wait and see what's accurate as far as that goes. I'm really enjoying the S25 Edge, and honestly, I may use it full time. It's one of those things that I carry with me every single day, and I really enjoy using. When I want to look at Instagram, TikTok, X, Threads, any of those, I pick this phone up instead of my iPhone lately. So I've been really enjoying it and curious what you think about it as well. If you've actually got your hands on one, I'd love to hear from you. If it's something that you appreciate or you just think is a bit goofy. Let me know in the comments below what you think, and of course, I'll link this wallpaper in the description like I normally do. If you haven't subscribed already though, please subscribe, and if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.